king of the gods, sat upon his throne, radiating power and authority. Hera, his queen, sat beside him, her beauty as formidable as her temper. Around them were arrayed the other Olympians: Poseidon, lord of the seas; Hades, ruler of the underworld; Demeter, goddess of the harvest; and the rest of the pantheon, each radiating the unique aura of divine presence. Ixion, though a king in his own right, felt dwarfed in this company. Watch this story in full. Subscribe, comment and like my channel, Green Mythology, for mythology and history. Gateway to the captivating worlds of ancient myth. Now watch the story in full, please. The wind howled a mournful dirge across the Thessalian plains, whipping through the tall grasses and rustling the leaves of the ancient oaks that dotted the landscape. Above, the sky was a bruised purple, heavy with the threat of a storm, mirroring the turmoil brewing in the heart of Ixion, king of the Lapiths. His kingdom, nestled in the fertile valleys and shadowed by the peaks of Mount Pelion, was prosperous, his people loyal, yet a gnawing discontent festered within him, a void that neither power nor riches could fill. Ixion was a king forged in the crucible of ambition, his lineage traced back to the very earth, to the primordial forces that shaped the mountains and carved the rivers. He was proud, fiercely intelligent, and possessed of a will as unyielding as the granite cliffs that guarded his domain. He had ascended to the throne through cunning and strength, navigating the treacherous currents of ancient Greek politics with a skill that belied his years. He had expanded his kingdom, forged alliances, and commanded the respect, and often fear, of his neighbors. Yet, beneath the veneer of regal composure, a restless spirit yearned for something more, something beyond the mundane concerns of mortal kings. He had heard whispers, tales carried on the wind from distant lands, of the gods who dwelled on Mount Olympus, their lives a tapestry woven with threads of power, immortality, and passions that dwarfed the emotions of men. He craved a taste of that divine existence, a brush with the immortal realm that lay just beyond the veil of human perception. He yearned for recognition from the gods, a place, however small, in the grand design. This ambition, this hubris, was to be his undoing, and yet, in its genesis, it was also the spark that ignited the lineage of the Centaurs, creatures forever caught between the mortal and the divine, a testament to the folly and the grandeur of Ixion's desires. One fateful day, as Ixion stood upon the ramparts of his citadel, gazing at the storm-laden sky, a messenger arrived, breathless and dust-covered from a long journey. He bore tidings from Olympus itself, an invitation, unprecedented and awe-inspiring, for Ixion to join the gods at their celestial table. A thrill, sharp and intoxicating, coursed through Ixion. This was it, the fulfillment of his deepest longings. The gods had noticed him, had deemed him worthy of their company. He accepted the invitation with alacrity, his heart pounding with anticipation and a tremor of fear. What did the gods want of him? What trials awaited him in their ethereal realm? The journey to Olympus was not a physical one, not one measured in leagues and days. It was a passage through realms unseen, a shifting of perception, a shedding of mortal constraints. Ixion found himself ascending, not on foot or chariot, but on currents of pure energy, carried aloft by the very winds he had watched whip across his kingdom. The world below receded, shrinking into insignificance as he soared towards a realm of light and unimaginable splendor. Olympus was everything the legends described and more. A mountain that pierced the heavens, its peaks wreathed in clouds of gold and silver, its slopes adorned with palaces of shimmering marble and gardens that bloomed with flowers of impossible hues. The air hummed with divine energy, a palpable force that both invigorated and intimidated Ixion. He was led to the grand hall, the heart of Olympus, where the gods were gathered. Zeus, king of the gods, sat upon his throne, radiating power and authority. Hera, his queen, sat beside him, her beauty as formidable as her temper. Around them were arrayed the other Olympians: Poseidon, lord of the seas; Hades, ruler of the underworld; Demeter, goddess of the harvest; and the rest of the pantheon, each radiating the unique aura of divine presence. Ixion, though a king in his own right, felt dwarfed in this company. He bowed low before Zeus, his voice trembling slightly as he offered his greetings. Zeus, with a booming laugh that echoed through the hall, welcomed him, bidding him to rise and join their feast. The banquet was a spectacle of divine abundance. Nectar and ambrosia flowed like water, dishes piled high with roasted meats, fruits that tasted of sunshine and starlight, and wines that could intoxicate the soul. Music, played on instruments of celestial make, filled the air, weaving spells of joy and enchantment. Ixion, initially overwhelmed, gradually found himself drawn into the revelry. He drank deeply of the nectar, its divine essence loosening his inhibitions and amplifying his senses. He laughed with the gods, listened to their tales of cosmic battles and amorous escapades, and felt, for a fleeting moment, that he had indeed achieved his ambition, that he was, if not quite divine, at least accepted into their fold. But amidst the feasting and the laughter, a darker current began to stir within Ixion. His eyes, emboldened by the nectar, fell upon Hera, queen of the gods, wife of Zeus. She was the epitome of divine beauty, her presence radiating a regal grace that both captivated and intimidated. Her eyes, the color of a summer sky, held a depth of wisdom and power that both intrigued and challenged him. A dangerous seed of desire took root in Ixion's heart. It was not mere admiration, not the respectful or a mortal should feel for a goddess. It was lust, raw and untamed, fueled by the divine nectar and the intoxicating atmosphere of Olympus. He dared to imagine himself in her arms, to taste the forbidden fruit of her divine embrace. This was madness, a transgression of the highest order. Hera was not only the wife of Zeus, but the embodiment of marital fidelity, the protector of women and the sanctity of marriage. To even contemplate desiring her was an act of sacrilege, a challenge to the very order of the cosmos. Yet, Ixion, in his intoxicated state, was blind to reason, deaf to the warnings of his own conscience. He allowed his desire to fester, to grow into an obsession that consumed his thoughts and clouded his judgment. He began to seek out Hera's company, to linger near her during the feasts, to steal glances at her whenever he could. Hera, wise and perceptive as a goddess should be, was not oblivious to Ixion's attentions. She sensed the shift in his gaze, the unspoken desire that emanated from him like a palpable heat. She was not flattered, nor was she amused. She was angered, deeply offended by the mortal's audacity, his utter lack of respect for her divine status and her marital bond. She knew, of course, that Zeus, in his own Olympian fashion, was not always a paragon of fidelity. But that was Zeus, king of the gods, bound by no mortal laws, answerable to no one but himself. Ixion was a mortal king, a guest in their realm, and his desires were not only inappropriate, but dangerous. Hera, however, was not one to act rashly, not one to unleash her wrath without due consideration. She decided to test Ixion, to see if his desire was merely a fleeting infatuation, a drunken fancy, or a deeper, more insidious transgression. She devised a plan, a subtle deception that would reveal the true nature of his heart. She fashioned a cloud, a nephos, and breathed life into it, shaping it into a perfect replica of herself. Nephil, the cloud woman, was ethereal and beautiful, possessing all the allure of Hera, yet lacking her divine essence, her true power. Hera presented Nephil to Ixion, subtly encouraging his attentions, watching him with a cold, calculating eye. Ixion, blinded by his lust, fell completely into the trap. He believed Nephil to be Hera herself, a goddess deigning to reciprocate his forbidden desires. He courted her with fervent passion, showering her with compliments and promises, oblivious to the divine deception unfolding around him. Their clandestine meetings took place in the secluded gardens of Olympus, amidst fragrant blossoms and whispering fountains. Ixion, lost in his delusion, poured out his heart to Nephil, confessing his love for Hera, his longing for her embrace, his willingness to defy even Zeus himself for her sake. Nephil, being but a cloud, remained silent, a passive recipient of Ixion's affections. But Hera, watching from afar, saw and heard everything. She witnessed Ixion's utter lack of restraint, his complete disregard for divine law, his unbridled lust consuming him like a wildfire. Her anger reached its boiling point. This was not mere infatuation, not a momentary lapse in judgment. This was a profound and deliberate transgression, a challenge to her honor, to her marriage, to the very fabric of divine order. Ixion had not only desired the queen of the gods, but he had been utterly deceived by a mere cloud, proving his judgment to be as clouded as his desires. Hera revealed the deception to Zeus, presenting Nephil as evidence of Ixion's folly and his sacrilege. Zeus, initially amused by the mortal's audacity, quickly grew enraged at the depth of his transgression. To desire his wife was an insult he could not ignore, a challenge to his authority he could not allow to stand. Zeus, in his wrath, did not immediately strike Ixion down with a thunderbolt. He preferred a punishment more fitting to the nature of his crime, a torment that would reflect the boundless and ultimately empty nature of his lust. He ordered Hermes, the swift-footed messenger god, to seize Ixion and bind him to a winged, fiery wheel. Hermes, with his characteristic speed and efficiency, carried out Zeus's command. Ixion was seized, bound to the wheel, and cast down from Olympus, not to the mortal realm he knew, but to the depths of Tartarus, the abyss of eternal torment. There, bound to the ever-spinning wheel, Ixion was condemned to an eternity of fire and torment. The wheel, fueled by divine fire, spun endlessly, carrying him through the vast emptiness of Tartarus, a constant reminder of his boundless ambition and his ultimate fall. The fire that consumed him was not just physical, but also the burning fire of unfulfilled desire, the eternal frustration of reaching for something forever beyond his grasp. But the tale of Ixion did not end with his descent into Tartarus. From his ill-fated union with Nephil, the cloud woman, a child was born. Centaurus, they called him, a creature unlike any seen before, a being both man and beast, a hybrid of the human and the equine. Centaurus inherited the wildness of his father's ambition, the untamed spirit that had driven Ixion to reach for the divine. But he also inherited the ephemeral nature of his mother, the cloud woman, a certain fluidity and untethered quality that set him apart from both gods and men. Abandoned by his parents, cast adrift in the world, Centaurus wandered the earth, a solitary and enigmatic figure. He was neither fully human nor fully animal, an outcast in both realms. He possessed the intelligence and reasoning of a man, but also the raw instinct and physical prowess of a beast. He was a creature of paradox, a living embodiment of the chaotic union that had brought him into being. He found himself drawn to the wild places of the earth, to the untamed forests and the rugged mountains. He roamed the plains of Thessaly, the land of his father's kingdom, but he kept himself apart from human society, preferring the company of the wild creatures that inhabited the forests and the hills. One day, as Centaurus roamed the foothills of Mount Pelion, he encountered a herd of Magnesian mares, wild horses of exceptional beauty and strength. These were not ordinary horses, but creatures descended from the divine horses of Poseidon, imbued with a spark of the sea god's untamed power. Centaurus, drawn to their wildness and their vitality, felt a kinship with these magnificent creatures. He watched them graze, run, and play, their movements a symphony of raw power and untamed grace. He felt a longing to connect with them, to bridge the gap between his own hybrid nature and their pure, equine essence. Driven by an instinct he could not fully comprehend, Centaurus began to court the Magnesian mares. He approached them cautiously, respectfully, offering them gifts of wild berries and sweet grasses. He spent days observing their habits, learning their language, understanding their rhythms. The mares, initially wary of the strange, half-human creature, gradually began to accept him. They sensed in him a kindred spirit, a shared wildness, a connection to the untamed forces of nature. They allowed him to join their herd, to run with them across the plains, to share in their wild, equine existence. And then, inevitably, nature took its course. Centaurus, driven by primal urges and the inherent desire to propagate his kind, mated with the Magnesian mares. The union was a potent one, a mingling of the human, the cloud-born, and the divine equine. From these unions, a new race was born, the race of centaurs. They were creatures in the image of their progenitor, Centaurus, but multiplied, diversified, a whole tribe of beings half man, half horse. They inherited the wildness of their ancestors, the untamed spirit of Ixion, the ethereal quality of Nephil, and the raw power of the Magnesian mares. The centaurs were born into a world that did not quite know what to make of them. They were too human to be beasts, too beastly to be men. They were outcasts, wanderers, forever on the fringes of both human and divine society. They made their home in the forests and mountains of Thessaly, the land of their origins, but they remained apart from the Lapiths, the people of Ixion's kingdom. They were not hostile, not inherently malicious, but they were wild, untamed, and often unpredictable. Their nature was a reflection of the chaotic origins, a blend of disparate elements that never quite fully coalesced into a harmonious whole. The centaurs were known for their strength and their prowess in battle. Their equine bodies gave them speed and stamina, their human torsos provided them with the intelligence and dexterity to wield weapons. They were skilled archers, deadly with spears, and formidable warriors in close combat. But their wildness often overshadowed their virtues. They were prone to fits of rage, to drunken revelry, to impulsive acts of violence. They were seen as uncivilized, barbaric, a threat to the order and stability of human society. The most famous, or perhaps infamous, example of centaur wildness is the Centauromachy, the legendary battle between the Lapiths and the centaurs. The conflict arose at the wedding feast of Pirithous, king of the Lapiths and a close friend of the hero Theseus. The centaurs, invited to the wedding as guests, became intoxicated with wine and attempted to abduct the Lapith women, including the bride herself, Hippodamia. This act of drunken aggression sparked a furious battle. Theseus, along with other Lapith heroes, fought valiantly against the centaurs, driving them back and ultimately defeating them. The Centauromachy became a symbol of the struggle between civilization and barbarism, order and chaos, with the Lapiths representing the forces of reason and the centaurs embodying untamed wildness. But the centaurs were not all uniformly savage and brutish. There were exceptions, individuals who rose above the stereotype, who demonstrated wisdom, compassion, and even a kind of rough-hewn nobility. The most famous of these was Chiron, son of the Titan Cronus and the nymph Philyra. Chiron was unlike the other centaurs. He was renowned for his wisdom, his knowledge of medicine and archery, and his gentle nature. He was a tutor to many of the greatest heroes of Greek mythology, including Achilles, Jason, Heracles, and Asclepius. He was a healer, a teacher, a guide, a beacon of civilization amidst the wildness of his race. Chiron's existence challenged the simplistic view of centaurs as purely savage creatures. He demonstrated that they were capable of reason, of learning, of compassion, that their wildness was not their defining characteristic, but merely one aspect of the complex and multifaceted nature. Yet, even Chiron, in his wisdom and his goodness, could not escape the tragic fate that seemed to be woven into the very fabric of centaur existence. He was accidentally wounded by Heracles with a poisoned arrow, a wound that, because of Chiron's own immortality, inherited from his Titan father, could not heal, yet caused him unending pain. To escape this eternal torment, Chiron willingly relinquished his immortality, sacrificing himself to free Prometheus from his chains. His death, though tragic, was also noble, a testament to his selflessness and his willingness to suffer for the sake of others. The story of the centaurs is a complex and multifaceted one, a tapestry woven with threads of ambition, lust, divine deception, wildness, and, in rare instances, wisdom and nobility. They are creatures of paradox, born from chaos, forever straddling the line between the human and the animal, the civilized and the savage. Their origin story, tracing them back to Ixion and Nephil, paints them as inherently wild and untamed, a reflection of the chaotic beginnings. But the existence of figures like Chiron reminds us that stereotypes can be misleading, that even within the wildest of races, there can be individuals who transcend expectations, who embody the potential for good that exists in all beings, however flawed or untamed their origins may be. The centaurs remain a potent symbol in mythology, a reminder of the enduring tension between civilization and wildness, order and chaos, reason and instinct. They are creatures of myth, yet they resonate with something deep within the human psyche, a recognition of the wildness that still lingers within us, the untamed forces that both threaten and enrich our existence. Their story is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of unchecked ambition and unbridled lust, but also a testament to the enduring power of nature, the wild, untamed forces that continue to shape our world and our imaginations. And in the figure of Chiron, they offer a glimmer of hope, a reminder that even from the most chaotic of origins, wisdom and compassion can bloom, offering a path towards a more balanced and harmonious existence, a reconciliation between the wildness within and the civilization we strive to create. The wind still whispers their tales across the Thessalian plains, a mournful yet compelling saga of creatures forever caught between worlds, a testament to the enduring power of myth and the complexities of the human, and perhaps even the centaur, condition.